Hi, welcome to our first video in the Mithrandir series, 1988 Talbot Express renovation. We are Martin and Angela, a retired couple down on the south coast who bought their first motorhome. So we bought Mithrandir with the sole intention of updating the interior. What we discovered was, and you'll see through the videos, that it needed a complete renovation. And so what I've done is I've put some pictures in first, and I'm going to narrate those pictures as we go through. So you can see what it was like when we first got it, and compare that to what we've done to it since we've had it. We've had it just over 2 years now, and we've been working through the summers shaping it and getting it to the way we want. We just want to demonstrate that even retired people can do this stuff. It's not hard. You just need a little bit of courage and crack on with it. So the first picture then, this was the lounge, pretty standard sort of lounge for a Talbot, pretty good. The overhead cabin was pretty bare, but it was serviceable. The toilet had some water ingress, but again it was okay. Kitchen, standard kitchen for a Talbot Express, but dated. Obviously we wanted something better. The sitting area at the back, which was interesting, I'll show you in a second. We took a look inside of it, and as you can see in the top right hand corner there was rot. And the rot was worse than we thought. This happens to old motorhomes. You can see some of the timbers there are actually missing. A view of the ceiling, when we stripped it back, you can see the black dots, and they're pretty bad. So this is how we go on. This was the floor in the gas area, and the toilet, we started taking it apart. What was interesting is we found a shower that was buried underneath. Find all sorts of things in these motorhomes. However, what we didn't expect was to be able to push a screwdriver into the woodwork. This woodwork was actually missing a lot of the corners and posts that it should have had. So we got it right back to the timbers, had a look at the flooring, and it was pretty poor. So the only thing I could do was to cut away the floor, take out the insulation of the floor. You can see here, that's the shower drain. The same on both sides, it was pretty rotten. So I went right the way down. You can see the hole there where I've cut through, relayed 3mm ply, then put in the new battens which go under the floor, put in Kingspan, which is I'll show you later on, and then relayed 9mm ply and redid the battens around the edges. Now the corners are pretty poor, and you'll see that later on. As you can see, that's what it should look like, nice and clean. If you're going to do something like this, you need to get yourself a saw bench, and this is to cut the timbers that are needed to replace the frames. As you can see, these are all the timbers being prepared with Protec, a wood preserver. There's a shot of the can of it, and yeah, the rest of it now is going to swap to a video, so there you go. Okay, so as you can see, I've started to take apart the framework on the right or the left hand side of the vehicle. So I'm trying as much as I can to keep good timber. So this piece along here was okay, but obviously down in this corner where it got rotten, I've cut all of that away. I'm going to remake a piece to go across here, and then do the H-frame down there for the water filler. And then I'm going to replace, as I have done on the other side, these two pieces of wood. It's interesting the way this is put together. So there's one flat piece there, the same dimensions as this piece. What I'm going to do is put a more solid piece, so it's going to be a square 34mm all the way up to this point here. As you can see, I've taken this apart already, and then an angle joint, probably about 10 degrees, and then come further up to replace that corner there, and then I can tackle the stuff at the top. Quite happy with the way this is going. It is the case that a lot of this is jointed, so what I'm doing, as you can see, I've already made the first cut here, put a chisel on the back end of that, tap through, perfect step joint there. Do the same with the piece I'm putting across here, and then I can put a screw in there with no nails as a belt and braces approach. So apart from that, it's good. The one thing I have noticed is that at certain strategic points from the outside, the panels are actually pinned to the wood, so you can see that's quite solid there. So I don't want to cut patterns like this, and this is why this particular one on the back here, this is pinned. You can see it's quite wet looking at the moment because I've just sprayed it with a anti-mold thing, and the reason being, you can see that panel is actually tacked to this one from the outside. So if I can treat this one, then preserve it, that will save me a lot of effort, because there's no way I can get that remade. Right, as you can see, I've cut away a lot of the wood there, and this piece is now out. As you can also see, the whole panel is nice and free. There's still a little bit of tidying up to do. I've got to take all of the sticker flex off, and trust me, this stuff is really caked on there. As you can see, if I look up lower down here, see somebody's made well liberal use of this stuff. Can't really get a picture of that, but there you go. So yeah, I've got to clean all that off, and then I'll be putting a post from that bottom corner right the way up to there. Nice little join across from that piece to there to about here, and then following the angle going up, I'm going to put it on the underside of there, so I'll support all of this, and that's much better than what was there previously. Right, I think it's time for lunch now, because I need something to eat. Okay, so today I'm going to be tackling this area here. This air vent, this wood here is completely powdered. So I think the first thing I need to do is to get a nice bit of nice black sack to capture all the crap, and I'm going to remove the two timbers completely and see how we go from there. This is really only to stop the black wood going on the floor and staining, which it will be, the new floor that I've put down. As you can hear, this is pretty noisy here. This is because we're on a main road. Anyway, I did say I was going to do a video of this, so one important thing with this one is goggles. Now, because it's so powdery, because it's so rough, I'm going to remove both of these, this one and this one. But first I've got to take this vent out, and that's where it's really going to start dropping. So we'll do that first. Get my trusty electric screwdriver. You see that screw just pushed back straight in there. So I'm going to take this nice and gentle. I'll do this in stages. That one's just spinning, so that means it's completely gone. Yeah, you can see I'm doing this by hand almost. Absolutely nothing holding these in. This was the whole reason we got to this state that we're in. We've started to look at this corner, and I pushed my finger straight into the plywood that was around it. That's when I knew I had a real problem with this. So just going to put these down somewhere safe. Little pop there. Yeah, oh, look at this, it's just pulling away. And you can see there's no strength in there at all. There's always one strength. That's going to have to be taken out the hard way. So, oh wow, the rot here is unbelievable. Okay, that one's obviously not moving as well. I think there's a call for a bit of chisel work here. Now I'm going to be really careful with this. I don't want to split the plastic, but the same time, this is not coming out as easy. When you look at this, that's good. As you can see, that is completely rotten. There's not even, most of it's missing. You know, when you get to that stage, it's like, wow, might as well just replace it. You see the screws still hanging in there. God bless that little screw for trying. But yeah, this one's now a little bit more loose. I'll try the screwdriver again, see if we can get hold of it. The head's gone. I suspect probably when people have had to go. Getting bits falling on the head all over the place here. So, good job I've got the goggles on. Safety first. No, that's completely stuck in there. There's only one thing for it. We're going to have to cut the screw. So, to do that, I'm going to have to go and get some big cutters. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, back again, and now on with a proper tool to remove stubborn screws. Sometimes when you've got so many tools on the floor, you forget where you put your goggles. But anyway, let's give this a go now. Should just be able to get in there. And there it is. See, the frame itself is okay. It'll clean up nicely. Quick touch of spray can and paint on that. Remove these stubborn screws, which have, oh, I see the reason why. Somebody screwed these in so tight they've actually buried themselves into the plastic, as you can see. So put that to one side. Let's have a look. Wow, this isn't even attached, it's just hanging there. So I'm just going to pull this down. Sorry, and one thing I should mention, here we go. Always use a pair of gloves on this sort of stuff. It's bad enough you've got 30 years worth of rot. What you really don't want is a 30-year-old splinter covered in muck and bullets, sticking into your hand, especially not when you're a diabetic like me, because things like that tend to turn really nasty and you don't want to do it. So let's save myself the pain and agony. Okay, that's a little bit firmer than I thought, so I'll try my baby pry bar, get in there. There we go. Just like cold nicely. There we have it. But this is just falling apart. Okay, there we go. That's the frame. It's completely gone. I'll show you the other side of that if I can real close. You can see that is completely rotten, and was the reason, part of the reason I should say, that the whole part of this motorhome started to leak. So as you can see, with no real filler there, the gaps around the outside, this has just let rain in. All of this section's gone. The worst part was it ingressed down to that side. That came down and took most of this wall out, and indeed ran down into the corner. So what I'm going to do is replace this one, replace that one. The tricky bit is the ends of these are screwed in from the outside. So what I'm going to have to do is cut these and then try and pry them, cut the screws off, and what I'll do is when I put the new ones back up, I'll put angle brackets in, sturdy ones, to hold that into the frame on the outside, and then I can get to filling in the gaps. But for now, let's try and take this out, which as you can see, is just coming apart like it. So with any luck, take that at an angle, and there you go. Yeah, this has got absolutely no filler on it at all. It's got no sticker flex around the outside. Don't quite know why that was put in. There's bits people have tried, but they haven't stuck it in the right place, not on the outer edge. So I'm going to clean up the top of this. Although that's not tactile, you can see it's just all moving. It's not taking it on at all. I'll get a step ladder and get my head up there and clear that out. Okay, back again. So ready to cut the second one out the way. You can see the first one's already gone there. Handy little tool, mentioned it before. These multi-tools, I think they call them. So handy, especially when you're trying not to cut through the skin of your motorhome. I apologise for the noise. I'm just going to cut this one in the middle and take it from there. And it really is that easy. So what I mentioned before was obviously taking these out. You have to be really careful because of the screws that are coming through. On this one, it's got a piece of timber there, so I'm going to try and pull this forward. I have a feeling somebody screwed that into the timber, and they haven't. That's fine because it's so rotten. It's not too hard to get out, he said, and there you have it. Just comes straight out. The screws that are left in there, it's actually rather big nails in there. I'm going to use a Dremel with a cutting disc, and the reason I'm using that is because the Dremel head is so small it can get between the gaps up here nice and flat and cut it off flush. The last thing you want is this nail sticking out where you want to put wood in. So we're all good there. That's all nicely done. So yeah, next thing to do now is to cut the new wood and cut those nail heads off. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so both sides are off. Nails are all cut. One thing I wanted to tell you about, it's been my experience while working on this, that a scraper, just a household paint scraper, is great for taking off the old sealant. Now, somebody has used sticker flex on this. You probably can't see it from this distance. That is taking off the surplus sealant, call it what you like, because that stuff is like putty. It's really cool. It's taken off. I don't want it to be a mirror finish because I need a guide as to where this new one's going to go. To be quite frank, I mean, sticking the timbers down, yes, it stops the roof doing that. That's great. Don't have a problem with that. But better still, it's easier to stick the timber, put the sticker flex on the top of the timber and push it up than it is to do it the other way. Now, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, I'm going to keep saying it. So, I am not a professional renovator or coach builder, whatever you want to call them. My hat's off to them because they do this for a living and they'll know all the shortcuts and the tricks and tips that they'll do. By all means, watch other videos. The reason I'm doing this video is because I want people to understand that even if you're not a professional, give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? You can cut a timber too short. Remember the golden rule, if you're marking out your timber and you got the length right, measure twice, cut once. But the bit they don't always tell you is when you mark your line, don't cut the bit, don't cut on the line, because the bit you want, right, is this side, cut just past the line. The reason being, the blade that you're cutting with is 1 or 2 millimeters thick. So if you cut on the line, you'll actually be 1 or 2 millimeters short, and your piece of wood will flap about in the breeze. Now I've already cut the wood, and once I finish this scraping, I'm going to fit it, and I'll show you the difference. Okay, so that's all cleaned off, but it's not cleaned totally. You can probably still see some track marks there. That's fine. Don't have a problem with that, because now comes the testing bit. Always, and I'll say it again, always off front with wood before you go applying any glue, because you need to make sure that this fits. Now that one fits in perfectly. See, it's holding itself. I can't tap it off. It's on a little ledge on both ends. More importantly, that in needs just a little bit more tapping in. That lines up nicely with the edge of the vent there. And then whilst that's there, I've got the tricky one. That's tricky because of this in the way. Slide that one in place, you probably heard the roof go up there. Now, interestingly enough, this one is not alongside this edge. I think what's happened is somebody's cut the battens, so I cut this hole for the vent after this was put in. Now that's fine, but why not? Both ends, it's only slightly over, marrying up like that. So now that side is on the edge, that side's on the edge. Yeah, you can see it misses the sticker flex. Yes, it's slightly wider. Do I care? No. There we go. So yes, they fit lovely. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply the sticker flex and the wood glue, so wood glue either end, to make sure that begins to hold. Slide that into place, make sure it's all married up with the sticker flex, which will be good, and then put me in any brackets on the elbow brackets. Just trying to see if I've got one to hand. I don't. So anyway, you know what an L bracket is. It's just a little bracket. Screw that in, and then that job's done. Then what I can do next is then put the sticker flex on the outside going round and refit the air vent. So, but yeah, that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, so more coming up in part 2. We're going to have a number of videos in the series of how we put it back together. I think you'll be suitably impressed by the outcome of it. We like it, but then that's just us. Please like and subscribe to this, and we'll carry on. Please also bear in mind the comments that we're not professionals. We don't claim to be, but I think we made a pretty good job of this. So if you like it, get on to the next one, and I'll see you soon.